Yo, it's Kieran for Ghost, getting our shit together. It's good to be back with you. Good to see you again. As we said yesterday, had a little bit of hiatus, but we're back now. We'll never, ever leave you again. So today we're going to be doing our first of a series called Ghost Stories. So this is where I take you guys, and really this is for like younger guys who are maybe not in the dating scene at the moment, and it's just like a little bit of encouragement. Like there's like, if you get into this thing and you go out there and you have fun with all these other consensual adults, you can have a lot of fun and these like stories that you're going to remember for the rest of your life, right? So let's go with the first one today. So I'll take you back. It must have been, I'm 32 now, right? So I'm like getting up there in years, but I must have been probably 25, 26 at the time. And my local town at the time was Watford, which is this place outside of London in England, right? And me and my buddy, Ollie V, we used to go out there on a Friday night, go for some drinks and try and chat up some girls. We were both single guys at the time. So one time we go out and we're going around, we're having a few drinks, talking to different people. And I think I go up to like the bathroom, and I just cross paths with this girl, right? She's an attractive mixed race girl, and she's got like a badge here, like a sticker, and it says 21, right? So it's her birthday. It's her 21st birthday, and we just like lock eyes. And I don't know if you, and I'll try and like sprinkle some like little dating tips in these stories so you can get something out of them like that as well, right? So we just lock eyes, and it's like immediately like on, right? It's like she's attracted like kind of immediately, and so am I, and like we're neither of us are like wasted. It's just like a mutual attraction, right? And so I like move over to her, start talking to her. And it's going quite well, and we speak for like a couple of minutes. And because she's the birthday girl, and you know, girls like go to toilets like in packs sometimes, right? Her friends come and grab her, and they're like, "All right, look, come, like you're the birthday girl, like see ya." To me, just like we're taking her, we're off, right? And so it's like, all right, cool. So me and my buddy go for the rest of our night. We do whatever we're gonna do. I think it gets to about like 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. So not late in the night, and I think it was just the two of us out, me and my buddy Ollie V, and so we were like, okay, I'm gonna call it a night, go home, right? So I go to the cab rank, like where the taxis are to take me home, and I'm waiting for a taxi, and round the corner I see this girl who I'd spoken to before, right? And she came over, and she's like, again, she's an attractive girl, so guys are looking to try and chat her up and stuff like that. And she came over, and she, again, like the sort of attraction was immediately there again. We saw each other, we got chatting. She sort of came over, and there were these three guys, like kind of like big, young, like younger than me, but big, like kind of like hoodish, but not amazingly intimidating. Like they weren't like gold teeth and just like a knife on their belt or anything like that. But they were like, yeah, somewhat intimidating, right? And I'm a dork, right? I don't know, you've probably noticed, right? I rarely like look cool or like, or I try, right? But in this instance, it's like one of the like, it was like I was able to deliver like a bit of a James Bond line, right? So like she's talking to me, and these three guys are maybe 10 feet away from us, right? And one of them, like the biggest one, is just like trying to get her attention. And I think he's mixed race as well, right? So I think he's trying to like play off that angle. And he's like, yo, like, why are you talking to him? Like, blah, 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 like trying to get her away, right? And I'd had a few drinks, right? So I think it's a bit of liquid courage as well. And I just turned to him and I was just like, she is not for you. Like, it sounds a bit scary, like as if like possessive over her. But she, like her and I were having a good time speaking to each other. We were like quite close together physically, and it worked, and he's there with his two mates, and I just looked him in the eye, said that, and that it worked, and that was it, and like that was the end of it, right? So I was like fuck, like we're really getting on here. Like, I'd love to like, and she was sober enough to come home, like that was fine, and I was like, yeah, I think it could be great to bring her home. So I was like, okay, fuck waiting around. Like so basically that at Watford there's this line of cabs, right? And at that time, like sort of 1:30 in the morning on like a busy Friday or Saturday night, you'd have to wait like 10, 15, 20 minutes to like get a cab, right? And I was like, it's just too dangerous. Like I'm just here, just me and her. I don't have any of my friends around. There's like other like vulture guys like around like circling. And like, so we were like round the corner from where this like cab rank is, like waiting for a separate cab company, right? But that was going to be 10 minutes as well. So I was like, how can I like, she wants to come home with me, right? But she also wants that sort of plausible deniability. I can't just like grab her hand and be like, let's go back. Her anti-slut alarm would go off in her head, right? She'd be like, oh, it's moving a bit too quick, even though she wants to go back, right? But she wants to have, like I say, that plausible deniability, right? So I was like, all right, how do I make this fun and give her like a party excuse to come back, right? So anyway, there was this shopping trolley there, right? And I was like, why don't you go in the shopping trolley and I'll just spin you around, right? And she was like, oh wow, like a little bit drunky, just like, wow, that'll be fun. Like jumps in the trolley, and I just like spin her around, and then I'm just like, all right. And then I just take her, and like, it's maybe we're round the corner of this cab rank, right? So it's maybe like 50 meters, something like that. We've got to turn this corner, come around to the main cab rank. So I do that. So I just run, like set off with her in this trolley, right? And she's up for it. She's like giddy, like she's down for what is happening, right? So I take her along, and literally this girl from nowhere just starts screaming, like some other random girl just starts screaming, hey, where are you going? Like, what are you doing with that girl? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, this must be her friend, right? And anyway, so like, I've taken off. I'm not listening to her, right? I know I don't have any bad intentions with this girl, but I'm not having her friend just like fuck things up just because. Like, if you're a guy and you go out, like, you know that sort of, and oftentimes it's, not to be nasty, but it's like the kind of less attractive friend who is kind of spoil the party for everyone, basically. And anyway, and she was like not in great shape, this other girl who was chasing her. So luckily I was able to just run away with this trolley and get to the start of the cab rank over here, around the corner. And when we get there, I actually like lose control of the trolley. You know, trolleys are like really fucking famously like difficult to maneuver, right? So we're like rounding a corner. The trolley upends, like she's in it, so she comes like spiraling out, right? So it's like totally, I'm like, oh my God, pick her up, like completely ungentlemanly, like ruffled her feathers. Anyway, like, dude, the other girl, who I presume is her friend, is just like chasing after us. It's like that thing in like Raiders of the Lost Ark or whatever, like the ball is coming and we're like, no, she's coming. So I was like, right, fuck, I don't have time to like wait for a cab. This other girl's just gonna ruin it all. So basically there's like a cab like instructor, right? He's kind of like a bouncer of the cabs, and he's like ordering the queue, like, okay, you guys go in this taxi. And I'm like, quickly get a tenner out of my pocket. I'm like, dude, put us in the next one. Like, God bless him. He takes it. He's like, yep, straight in that cab. Get her in the cab. And then that's it. We drive over, like we drive off, like over to my dad's place at the time is where I was staying, right? And we get home and it's great. We have a great time. She actually, so obviously we go to the next morning, and she stays all of that day, and then that night again, and then the next day. So we really got on really well, and she actually became my girlfriend for a little bit. And and again, she's an attractive girl, but I kind of, after a couple of weeks, I kind of got the feeling it probably wouldn't go anywhere. I probably wasn't going to marry this girl, right? Because it was sort of around this time that I worked out that she wore like an analog watch on her wrist, right? But it was for show. She didn't actually know how to tell the time on an analog watch, which is pretty nuts. She was also like in a room in my dad's house, and it wasn't locked or anything, but she just couldn't get out. It was just like, she just couldn't, like, she was like she wasn't like subhuman, but like, anyway, like you thought like to speak with her, she just seemed a little dim, not like pathologically slow. But anyway, she couldn't get out of this room. So it was just like, and oh yeah, and I'd ask her like, oh, she worked at a nursery, and I'd be like, oh, what did you have for lunch? And she'd be like, oh, Haribo. I was like, I'm not sure this girl's like, I'm not sure she's the forever girl for me, right? So anyway, so I'm sort of thinking, okay, this is probably going to be a bit of a fashion in the pan, but we are going out, and like I'm sort of rationalizing it in my head. I remember saying to my mates at the time, I was like, she's totally pure. She's like she's just a really kind, pure person. So what? She's not a fucking genius. Like, so what? Like, I can hack that. It'd be fine. This is like the sort of lie I was telling myself at the time, right? So anyway, she's like, she takes this medicine. I think she had, like, poor girl, she had like some form of depression, like some trauma in her past, and I didn't want to pry too much, and I was good to her. I was nice and kind, and I didn't want to. Yeah, like I said, I didn't want to pry, but she took these sort of medicine at night, and they were like really powerful, like antidepressives, and they also like knocked her out like that, like just knocked her out like flat, like she'd go to sleep like that, right? And then I think she was taking this other medicine for like a little bit, right? And it just, I don't know what for, and it was one of those where it's like it reacted really badly to alcohol. So anyway, like a few weeks, maybe a couple of months, like after the first night when we met, me and my mate and her decide to go on a night out, just like to Watford, the same place, go, and we'll just go drinking, just have a night out, and we'll see how it goes, right? And this is where it got even weirder, right? So she's taking this like sleeping depression medicine already, and now she's taking something else on top. I don't know what it was. And she said to me, like, look, I just cannot drink alcohol. And me and my mate were just like, yeah, you can. Like you know, because you heard that thing before. It's just like someone's taking paracetamol and they're like, oh, I can't take alcohol with it. And you're like, yeah, you can. Just a little bit. Like, you're not going to die from it. Anyway, so we pre-drinks, right? So it's like you drink before you go out, right? We're at pre-drinks at my house, my dad's house. And me and my buddy are drinking. We're drinking beers, and she's not drinking anything. And I'm like, come on, like you can have one, can't you? Like you're not going to die. And she's like, all right, go on, I'll have one. She literally gets a Foster's beer can like this, opens it up like that, necks it. Fair play to her. She necks the whole thing. She goes like that, and she's stone cold sober, obviously, from the start. And these pills are on, like they don't. She's not drowsy or anything like that. She's just normal when she has these pills. Drinks it, puts it down like that. As she puts it down, she's blotto. Like end of the night when you're 20 or 18 and you're totally fucked up, like drunken uncle at the end of the wedding, like plastered. Like she can still stand and she can still talk. She's not like paralytic. She's not like that. But she is like wobbly, shaky, like the full like exuberance of like being drunk. And we're like, and again, like obviously if this happened now, I'd be like, okay, just put her to bed or something like that. But these are the mistakes you make when you're a youth, right? And I think I was like 25 at the time. And we were like, right, well, come on then, night out, let's go. And and so anyway, so we were like, okay, we called the cab to take us into Watford for a night out. But before that, my dad comes in, right? He comes into the kitchen where we're pre-drinking, and he's like, oh, hiya to my friend, hiya to the girl. And she's like, hey, Gary, that's my dad's name, right? She like puts her arm around him, like all drunkenly, after this one beer. She's like, hey, she's like, I love you, like that. Like, and he's like, all right, yeah, you're right. and so anyway, so he's like, oh, Kieran, he's like, can you, my little sister, his daughter, can you take her somewhere? I think she must have been like, she was 13 at the time, right? He was like, can you take her somewhere tomorrow? And I was like, I actually don't think I can. Like, I've got to do this. So I didn't have my car. I think that was it. I didn't have my car, something like that, right? And so, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll come back here and I'll take her. And we were like, are you sure you're going to remember this? And she's like, yeah, I'll do it. So anyway, she's driven over to my house, like before this night out. Fuck. Right, I just said her name, we'll edit that out. So anyway, the girl she's driven to my house. And so anyway, we get in the cab, we go on the night out. Me and her have this sort of like blazing route. Oh yeah, the other thing is she's wearing these like 6-inch heels. So she is like all over the place, like can't hardly stand. Anyway, we have this like row. We go back to mine. I was like, again, if it was now, I can clearly see like she was wasted. Like it's my fault. I shouldn't have let her out on the night out. B, I shouldn't have been fucking arguing with her. I was probably like pent up at the time. You know, she's a good looking girl. I'm probably a bit insecure. Like guys are trying to come on to her. I'm being like taken out. Well, firstly pushing them away, but then like being a bit nasty to her about it. we get home and we had this huge falling out, and I think we actually broke up that night, right? And she's like, right, well, I'm not staying here. And I was like, well, you're plastered, you can't drive home. She's like, fuck it, I don't care, I'm driving, right? And to be fair, she'd sobered up a bit now, because I don't think she drunk anything really on the night out. So she's like, I'm getting in my car. So we'd come back home from the night out, got a cab back to mine, and we're back at mine, and we're arguing, we're broken up. And she's like, I'm just gonna get in my car and drive home. And I'm like, you really shouldn't. But she's like, I'm going to, right? So anyway, she drives home. I'm like, just text me when you get home. She does. She texts me and she goes, yeah, I stopped the car twice to throw up. I was like, fucking hell, right? Fucking dangerous, right? But yeah, so then we get to the morning. And to be fair to her, she was as good as her word. She comes back over. She picks up my sister. I jump in the car as well. Me and her, like, she's just like stony faced. Like, she's so pissed off with me. And me and her don't say a word to each other. Take my sister and my sister's friend to where they need to get to. She comes back, she drops me home, and then she just leaves like that, right? And I never see her again. I never see her again from that point. And and again, this is almost like a story of like, look, I'm cussing her a bit of like, she wasn't the smartest, but to be fair to her, this is a story like of props to her, because she did that. She kept her promise, and she came back and took my sister and her friend to the little play date or whatever they were going to. And then she lived like an hour away from my house. So to do that, like when she was that hungover, she had that promise. She'd made that promise, right? And she came, she fulfilled that promise. And and then I never saw her again. And the other thing is, like a year down the line, right, I still had a number. And you know how guys are sometimes, I was single at the time, and I was probably just like, you know what, I'd love to see her again, right? And I just sort of text her, just something to try and like ignite the conversation again, right? And she just texts like a one-word answer, cunt. And that was the end of it. And that's the end of the story with that girl. So hope you've learned something from that. It was a pretty it's just like a funny story that like stuck with me. It's funny how like we were in that little shopping cart, and like just paying the taxi bouncer to get in there, her being wasted off of one drink, her like actually keeping that promise to my dad and my sister. And it was just a funny story. So that's the first of ghost stories. There's going to be more. They're a little bit spicy. That's just, we're warming up now, and they're going to get a little bit more spicy. But there you go. Ghost is back. Let's go. Ooh.